Hey guys, all of my kindergarten teachers out there, all of my kindergartners, or anybody that's just really interested in doing a fun project today. We're going to be making something like this and practicing a little bit with scissor skills. So hang in there and I'll make this with you. Arr! Alright, so this is definitely the project that we're going to be doing today. You can see it's kind of fun little project and you really don't need too many materials. You definitely need a good pair of scissors. I love these ones because they have a nice little different kind of curve to them and they cut great. You're probably going to want a pencil just to help you out a little bit. You might want a marker just to make anything a little darker, or you can use crayons. They would work as equally as well. You're definitely going to need a little bit of glue. I just use this one. If you have the little paste glue, the stick glue, that's perfectly fine. And if you're using the pencil to help you with the face, you could definitely use an eraser to help you out there. Alright, so first up I'm going to need a 6x6 inch square. I kind of want it to be a darker square. I was originally going to use orange, but I felt like this brown was just so much better for this project. So go ahead and start with a 6" square piece of construction paper. And then I've got this kind of tan, it could be white, it could be yellow, looking 3" square for his face. If you want to change the colors up a little bit and make this orange and make this yellow, that would be perfectly fine, but construction paper is what we're going to be working with. First thing we are going to be doing is I am actually going to go ahead and try to round this shape as much as possible. If it doesn't come out round, that's okay. I just want to kind of make it as round as I can. What I'm doing is I'm going from basically, I'm trying to see where my middle points are and I'm just trying to cut a little curve. It's okay if it doesn't quite end up right. So I'm just cutting around and basically just going to the middle point. And again, if this doesn't turn out perfectly okay, that's no problem for this project. So here's my next corner, and as you can see, it's looking already pretty round. Now I just have to cut this last one. And this is a really good way to make a teardrop shape too, if you ever want to make any sort of teardrops. Alright, so we have a nice little round for the larger square. So we want to kind of repeat that same process for the smaller square. So I'm just going to do the same thing, only it's going to be a little tougher because it's a little bit of a smaller circle. So I just want to be a little bit more careful. And again, if it ends up being a little bit more squared off on sides, that's quite all right. There we go. All right, so I have got all of my pieces cut. Next up, I actually want to go ahead and glue this guy down. I'm going to leave him off-center. You can put it directly in the center and start cutting, but I actually want to keep mine off-center for when I cut. So I'm going to take my glue here, and remember, we don't need tons of glue. I really don't need that much glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually press just a little bit until I see a little bit of glue come out of the tip. And I'm just going to go back and forth. I want as little glue as possible. And you can kind of barely see how little glue I've put on there. And I'm just going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to kind of position this before, and once I get it, I'm going to kind of move it around just a little bit, just until it seats. And then once it seats, it should be okay. And make sure that you tighten the cap on the glue because that is something we don't want going everywhere. Alright, so the next step, I can go ahead and draw my face, or I can go ahead and start cutting. I think I'm going to start cutting first. So the first thing I'm going to do is all of my cuts, I want to go more or less towards the center. If there was a dot here, I want all of my cuts to point straight towards that center. And I don't want to cut this part at all. It's okay if I'm a little bit further away, and it's okay if I'm really close. So this one happens to be really close. This one's much further away. It's okay. We want some variation in there. They can be all the same. They can be different thicknesses. I can make some thicker ones. I can make some thinner ones. But we're just going to kind of go ahead and make cuts. All right. Now that I've got this all cut, one of the things I can do to actually give it a little bit more personality is I'm going to go ahead and kind of just run my fingers along some of these just a little bit. I don't want to do tons. I just want them bent just a little bit so it gives it a little bit more flair. If they're all flat, it looks okay, but I want to bend them just a little bit. And I'm just kind of taking my fingers and kind of separating them out, maybe pulling some forward, maybe pushing some back just a little bit. Just so it gives that the ruffled hair a little bit. And it's okay if you ended up accidentally cutting over something. So let's say I ended up going like this and I ended up cutting a little piece out. That's okay. That's perfectly okay. All right. So next up, we're going to try to copy this face as best as we can. So one of the first things I would say is I try to put just a really light line in the middle for where I know I'm gonna have everything symmetrical. I just wanna make sure I do the same thing on the right or on the left side as I do on the right side. So first up, I'm just gonna do a little tiny triangle here. I'm making this little triangle, and then I'm gonna curve the outsides. I want him to look a little happy there. Okay, I'm gonna do a little line that goes up, just a small little line, and then I'm gonna do kind of a triangle. I'm gonna go like this, but I want it to be a really wide triangle. I kinda want it to look like this nose. I want it to be really wide. And then from there, I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 circles for the eyes, 2 fairly large circles. Just like that. And then for lions, they have this nice little dark part here. So we want to go ahead and capture that too. Most cats do. It's a nice little depression there. All right, and then we can take our marker or our crayon, and we are going to go ahead and mark this out. And I'm going to go ahead and make this part a little darker. This bottom part. And this part, I'm gonna go ahead and get this. And I'm actually gonna point this a little bit. And then all I've got left to do is do a couple little pupils. I'm gonna put these ones right in the middle. I want him to look a little scared. There we go. And then I just want to give him a couple more whiskers. So I'm going to do 1 right here on both sides, and I'm going to do 2 out here. There we go. And we have a nice little lion. If you want to put the pupils up here, he's going to look like he's looking up, but he looks a little bit more intense. This one's a little bit more cutesy. I wanted him to smile a little bit more. So we have got a nice little lion, and that was a quick little project for you.